Hey, welcome in. Wednesday edition, Bruce Hooley Show. We're in commercial right now. We'll get started here in about another 30 seconds. We're going to talk about Joe Biden. Physical examination, not mental, unfortunately. He's headed to the border tomorrow. The Georgia mayor was talking today about the murder of Laken Riley. Believe it or not, Mark Cuban has something to say about that. Oh, don't all Democrats have something to say about that? And that something is, how dare you be upset that she was murdered by an illegal alien? We're ready to get started. Appreciate you joining us. Here we go. Welcome in to a Wednesday edition of the Bruce Hooley Show. Joe Biden's in the hospital, but for a routine physical exam, not a mental exam. That's unfortunate. Unless, of course, there's some backdoor effort going on quietly, secretly behind the scenes to use his exam to show that he's mentally unfit to be president. I doubt it, because he's going to the border tomorrow to no doubt lie, because he will tell us what a fantastic job Border Patrol is doing and how he's done everything he can, because Democrats are always doing everything they can, whether it's to shut the border or lower gas prices or lower inflation or build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out. They're always doing everything they can. It's just that everything they do doesn't work, and that everything they say is a flat out lie. So it's interesting today. I can't get this young woman in Georgia out of my mind. She's 22 years old. I have a 21-year-old daughter who's athletic, who's in college, and who could very easily go out for a jog, unsuspecting the danger that's around her, because these illegal aliens are everywhere. Did you know, for instance, that we have a ton of them here in Columbus, and that right now there's a fight going on in the city of Columbus to try to find out who's going to pay the bill, the tab, for relocating the 1,300 residents who were displaced from the Colonial Village apartment complex. Now, if you think for a second that our incompetent city attorney, Zach Klein, is going to be able to get the people hiding behind a intricate group of lawyers to come forward and pay for the relocation of Haitian immigrants who were brought here illegally and engaged in human trafficking, if you think Zach Klein is going to mastermind his way through the legal protections that are out there by this receivership that was supposedly running Colonial Village apartments, well, you're a cockeyed optimist, is all I will say. No, the city is going to be on the hook for this. They've already spent $1.6 million of $4 million that it's going to take to relocate these folks who should not be here, who should not be in the country, and who were, of course, being taken advantage of by the cartels and the gangs that brought them here to enslave them in a life of human trafficking. So that's why this case in Georgia matters, because it happened in Georgia late last week. It will happen in here in Columbus at some point in time. It's basically just what I've come to refer to as the lottery of evil. There is an abundance of evil going on out there. It's, the Bible says, prowling around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. And if it doesn't devour you, or doesn't devour someone you love, that's either because you have the divine protection of God upon you and your loved one, or just because of random luck. I don't know Laken Riley's background. There's certainly, she did nothing to deserve being murdered, but now she's being trivialized by people on the left who I've noticed have a very familiar pattern that they love to engage in when something like this happens. And this is the fundamental difference between the left and the right, between Republicans and Democrats, between Joe Biden voters and Donald Trump voters, is that Democrats are very good at telling you and I what we are not allowed to be upset about. They're very good at it. Laken Riley, 22 years old, goes out for a jog, broad daylight, between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m., and gets murdered by an illegal alien who was at least twice arrested by other authorities in other cities. But he couldn't be held because he's an illegal alien and because there have been people on the Democratic side of the aisle advocating for illegal aliens to have rights that you and I don't have ever since Donald Trump got the border under control. Let me take you back to 2020 presidential debate. I can't think right now off the top of my head, the Spanish language television network. But they were in charge of the debate. And here's a question to Joe Biden about whether or not illegal aliens should be turned over to Immigration and Customs Enforcement when they are, like this murder suspect in the death of Laken Riley, when they are arrested in major cities. Here's the question. Here's Biden's answer. That's his answer. No, they shouldn't be turned over to ICE. And this illegal immigrant murderer was not turned over to ICE. He left New York City, where he was detained for endangering a minor, and he went to Georgia, and he murdered this girl. And it looks like he just murdered her for sport. I've not seen anything reported that she was sexually assaulted. Not that I want her to be, but it looks like he just grabbed her and bashed in her head to the point where she was unrecognizable. Why? She's not carrying any money on her. He just did it for sport. He did it because he could. Who knows what was going on in his life? But you're not allowed to be upset about it. If you don't believe me, listen to, I played this yesterday. I'll play it again. This is the mindset on the left. Democrats love to tell you what you're not allowed to be upset about. Here's Katie Porter, Congressman, California. Laken Riley, does she matter? Well, she'll pay homage to Laken Riley. But, you know, the real takeaway here is don't you dare infer from this that this is symptomatic of a bigger problem out there. Laken Riley's not important. See, the important thing to focus on is that one incident should not shape our immigration policy. Now you say, well, that's a California congressman. She's out there on the edges of crazy town. She's a politician. She's got to cater to her constituents in California. But it'd be different down in the deep South, down where this really happened, down where the people in Georgia are deeply, deeply impacted by this. Would it be different? This morning, the mayor of Athens, Georgia, came out, and it didn't take me long to know that this press conference was not going to have the tone that I would have expected it to take, given the fact that this young girl was murdered in his backyard. There's a giveaway, there's a tell. And one of the things that he's talking about here when he first starts his press conference by talking about all the things that Athens, Georgia police are going to do to prevent this from happening again. Listen, see if you can come up with a term that tells you exactly where his mind really is. Based upon what? Mayor Kelly Girtz? The lived experience. Does any Republican ever use the term lived experience? No, we never use the term. We need to have a conversation about this. We need to do the work. There are just tells that Democrats put out there. So Kelly Girtz just kept on going, and he wants you to know that, yeah, we got an illegal immigrant here, and he murdered a co-ed who was minding her own business out for a morning run, but don't draw any conclusions from it. In fact, he sounds an awful lot like Congressman Katie Porter from California. Oh, the two are not connected. Oh, they're connected in the case of Laken Riley. That's apparently not enough connection. Kelly Girtz kept going down this road, and finally, thankfully, some people in the room had enough. Yeah. Nice try, Kelly Gertz. They're not having it because their minds work, because common sense is not something that they ignore. Republicans draw logical conclusions based upon facts. And then when they arrive at that logical conclusion based upon a fact, they are told that it's irrelevant, the facts and the conclusion that they have drawn via common sense and logic. Or that, how dare you notice that a 22-year-old woman got murdered? How dare you notice that there are more than 1,000 Haitian immigrants here and the city of Columbus is going to pay for it, which we all know is a lie. You're going to pay for it as a taxpayer. Those people should not be here because they are not here legally. They should be turned over to the authorities and deported, because if they want to come into our country, they have to abide by the laws of our country. But the Democrats don't think so. They're illogical, but you're not allowed to be upset about it.
Cloudy and warm this afternoon. Wind gusts up to and passing 40 miles an hour. We could see a high today of 60, but those temperatures will crash into the 30s. Windy and clear tonight. A rapid freeze up, low 23. 21.
The guy shouting liars sounded like Ray Romano's brother from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm Steve Williams on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
Who are the people that serve part-time in the Ohio Army National Guard? We are your neighbors, co-workers, and friends. We are your sons and daughters, your brothers and sisters. We are the people you see in your community every day. While we serve part-time.
Oh, people. Looks like my laptop is dying. Plug it in.
State colleges, so we can have an even better future. We are proud to serve both our country and our home state through every storm, every flood, every emergency that hits home here in Ohio. We are ready to respond and help our fellow Ohioans recover. We are every city, every small town, and every community. We are your Ohio Army National Guard. Learn more about part-time service with the Ohio Army National Guard at nationalguard.com/OH. Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard, aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Wednesday, March 20th at the Lazy Chameleon in Powell. Mike Gallagher, Bruce Hooley, Jack Windsor, and special guests live on stage. All tickets include food, drink, meet and greet, and Q&A. Tickets are limited for this VIP event, sponsored in part by Adult and Teen Challenge Ohio. Details and tickets available now at 989theanswer.com. Hugh Hewitt sees a rematch in November.
Big, enormous win for Donald Trump, bigger than anyone's ever done in that in recent political history. No one has not gone on to the nomination who has won New Hampshire after winning Iowa and then winning South Carolina. And the big news is Donald Trump's going to be the nominee.
The Hugh Hewitt Show, weekday mornings at 6. Right
That's
before
big news.
Gallagher at 9 on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
Bad decisions limit future options. Make enough bad decisions, and you will destroy your life. Listen to The Flot Line with your host Rick Hughes every Sunday morning at 8 here on 98.9 FM. The Answer. Flot Line describes a main line of resistance in your soul built on God's Word. Join us every Sunday for 30 minutes of inspiration, motivation, education, all without manipulation. That's The Flot Line with Rick Hughes. Sunday mornings at 8, right here on 98.9 FM. The Answer.
Are you looking to hire someone with proven world-class job skills? Well, there are some very qualified candidates out there, America's wounded warriors. These men and women are eager to get back to life at home and a good job, which is why Wounded Warrior Project developed the Warriors to Work program. It helps wounded warriors translate their military job experience to the civilian workplace. To hire a proven professional, contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
Laura Trump provides a fresh and honest perspective on the issues that matter to you on the Right View podcast, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
The number of Americans, and I think this is part of the problem right now, the number of Americans getting their news from TikTok quadrupled in the past 3 years. It really kind of terrifies me for what is to come for this country.
Subscribe to the Right View on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
I do not know anyone who enjoys paying more for something than they absolutely need to. But then again, I don't have a lot of friends on the Upper East Side of Manhattan or from the inner city of Columbus in the Andrew Ginther administration or any other places where they deny the drastic, debilitating impact Joe Biden's policies have had upon the American economy. No, I know regular people. I know normal people who like to get great products for great value. And that's why I enjoy working at Soft Step Carpet in Plain City. If you're looking for flooring carpet, LVP, which is luxury vinyl plank, looks like wood, looks like tile. You want the major name brands, you don't want knockoffs, well, come to Soft Step. We've got all the major brands. We sell it to you for less because we are a smaller, nimble operation. We don't have vehicles wrapped with fancy signage. We don't pay high rent for our store location just down from Costco. Call us 614-873-0001. Reach out to me or email me, brucehooley@gmail.com. I'll tell you how you can save. I'll show up right on your doorstep and we'll get you taken care of at Soft Step Carpet and Flooring. Well, the lies will be flying left and right today in Washington, D.C., where Hunter Biden is testifying behind closed doors. We'll probably get the deposition in another day or two. We'll probably get something out of it today. Here is James Comer, head of House Oversight, talking about a couple of the things that they want to talk to Hunter Biden about.
Was the brand. President Biden has repeatedly lied to the American people that he never interacted with his son's associates. But when Joe Biden was vice president, he spoke to his son's associates by speakerphone over 20 times. He dined with foreign oligarchs and a Burisma executive and had coffee with his son's Chinese associate, all while he was vice president.
By the way, Joe Biden wrote a letter of recommendation for that Chinese businessman's son to get into an Ivy League school. But there's no connection. No connection. Speaking of Hunter Biden and his bags of cash tread on daddy's name and position scheme, here's Comer articulating how it worked with Joe Biden and an influential and very, very, very wealthy Russian.
You all care so much about Russia. We know that Vice President Biden spoke on the phone with Russian oligarch Yelena Baturina and dined with her as she was funneling millions of dollars to his son. One associate said this phone call was orchestrated by Hunter Biden, and Vice President Biden told her to, quote, be good to my boy.
Well, she was. $5 million, I think, was the number. Maybe I have it confused with the one from Ukraine. It's easy to get them confused. Or do I have it confused with the one from China, where Hunter Biden traveled on Air Force Two with Joe Biden? And Joe, remember, never had anything to do with my son's foreign business dealings, never asked him anything about his foreign business dealings. I brought my cokehead, sex addict son to China, turned him loose in China while I was there doing business with Xi Jinping. And Hunter got back on the plane and I never asked him anything about what he did. That seems plausible to me. Doesn't it seem plausible to you? It doesn't seem very plausible to James Comer.
Biden also lied to the American people that his family never made money from China.
So now in Washington, I'm looking at the TV screen and I see all out crazy Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez up there whining and belly aching and moaning about how this is a witch hunt and everything else. And standing beside her is Eric Swalwell, who slept with a Chinese spy. I'd really try to get better character witnesses if I were Joe Biden, seeing as how AOC, this just hit me. Like, is there a single Democratic narrative that is not based on a blatant lie or is not put forward by a blatant liar? Remember AOC at the border in her white pantsuit? Because, you know, when I go to the border, dusty, dirty southern border, I mean, I wear all white, don't you? like I don't wear jeans and hiking boots. I'm going in an all white pantsuit if I'm a woman. Maybe if I ever identify as a woman, I'll be overcome by the desire to show up at the border and cry, fake cry, in a white pantsuit. But there's AOC. So the border narrative, the Russian collusion hoax narrative 1 and 2, the Hunter Biden laptop narrative. The COVID narrative. What else? Oh, Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot. What else? Breonna Taylor had no role in being shot by Louisville police except that she was shacking up with a wanted felon who fired first at police. Rayshard Brooks, Atlanta, stole a taser off an officer, shot him with it. And the officer had to fire back because, you know, bad idea letting a criminal put you in a position where you can't defend yourself, because if he's taking your taser, what's next? Oh, there's his weapon. Gee, I wonder if I could shoot him with this and get away. Oh, and of course, George Floyd, who wasn't high on enough fentanyl to kill a horse. George Floyd was, what was he doing? What was the thing last week? I was just trying to buy cigarettes with a counterfeit $20 bill. Is there a single Democratic narrative over the past, I don't know, go back as far as you want, that isn't 100% bull cookies? One narrative. Prices are coming down. Well, yeah, I guess from the 40-year high that you hiked them to. Remember, a half-truth is a lie. A half-truth is a lie. And in the few occasions where they come anywhere close to brushing up against a dust bunny of truth, it's always a half-truth with Democrats. Always a half-truth. The laptop. Oh, I left out the number one lie. Men can be women, women can be men. There's no advantage for a biological male playing a female sport. No advantage at all. Yet we have myriad examples of biological men playing female sports who soar from like the thousands in terms of their ranking to the top 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 in the female rankings. But shockingly, I can't name a single instance of a biological woman who decides to play a man's sport and is someone I've ever heard of playing that sport, because they've distinguished themselves with their success playing against men. Wouldn't that work like a coin toss? 50-50, where you get heads 50% of the time, tails 50% of the time. If you have men playing women's sports and you have women playing men's sports, wouldn't we have like some kind of an equal distribution between the men doing well as women and the women doing well as men? We don't. Why is that? Because it's a lie. Just like Russia collusion was a lie, just like we're doing everything we can to lower gas prices is a lie. Just like we're doing everything we can to lower food prices is a lie. Just like defund the police will make our cities safer was a lie. There's not a single Democratic narrative that's not grounded in lies.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason. President Biden reporting to the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center for his annual physical. The results are expected to be released later today. Former President Trump won the Michigan Republican primary with ease. Joe Biden won the Democrat contest. Faced with a flood of illegal immigrants as well as rising crime, New York City's Mayor Eric Adams suggesting it might be time to reconsider New York's sanctuary city status.
Meeting of the Seattle City Council was crashed by illegal aliens demanding taxpayer-funded housing, money that otherwise would be used for policing. Price hikes for cars and trucks, which helped to fuel inflation for almost 3 years, are slowing. In some cases, prices have even been on the decline. On Wall Street, the Dow is on the decline, down 64 points. The NASDAQ off 45, the S&P 4 points in the red. More details at srnnews.com.
Western Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. We've helped over 30,000 families out of financial hardship by getting them out of bad timeshares. If your timeshare agreement goes on forever, if you were told timeshares are a great investment, or your maintenance fees will never go up, you have questions, we have the answer. At Wesley Financial Group, we're dedicated to helping timeshare owners get out of their financial nightmare. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-256-5533. That's 800-256-5533. 800-256-55. News, opinion, passion. Here, 98.9 FM. The Answer. Anywhere you go. With The Answer's mobile app at 98.9theanswer.com. Also on your smart speakers. TuneIn or iHeart. Are you tired of the ups and downs of the stock market? Are you sick of logging into your brokerage account only to find out that you've lost hundreds or thousands of dollars in a single day? At MarketBeat, we know that constantly moving in and out of stocks, hoping to get lucky, is a loser's game. Buying hot stocks after they've already shot up in value is a recipe for disaster. It's time to stop playing the loser's game and invest in stocks that have shown they can stand the test of time. MarketBeat has prepared a free report titled 7 Stocks to Buy and Hold Forever, and we would like to text it to you for free. Text the word profit to 68285. The companies in this report might appear to be nothing special at first glance, but these companies print billions of dollars of cash each year in profit. If you would like to receive our free report of 7 stocks to buy and hold forever, simply text profit to 68285 and we'll text you this report instantly. Text profit to 68285 and we'll send you this free report right now. Text the word profit to 68285. Standard message and data rates may apply. Please consult with your investment or tax professional.
This is Dennis Prager, and now a truly exciting new benefit. My monthly online video get-together for Pragertopia Plus members only. For an hour each month, get an exclusive chance to ask me anything. I'll be answering your questions. I've never done this. Submit your questions for me at Pragertopia.com. This is our chance to connect like never before. Go to Pragertopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
He's the voice of a new generation, willing to fight for what's right in the greatest country ever conceived. He's Charlie Kirk, and you can hear him weekdays on your station for news, opinion, and 98.9 The Answer.
So I'm probably like you. I got woken up this morning at 5 a.m. by the tornado sirens. My pillow cannot fix that. Okay, the My Pillow is really good. I was sleeping super comfortable. I don't know if it was the pillow or the mattress topper or the Giza Dream Sheets, but all of them individually or collectively were collaborating on what was a wonderful night's sleep for me until the tornado sirens went off. There's a limit to what My Pillow products can do to give you a great night's sleep. But on a night where we don't have stormy spring-like weather at the end of winter, you can count on Mike Lindell and the My Pillow family to give you great value at great prices. So go to their website, mypillow.com, and purchase whatever you think you need to sleep better. If your head's pitching around like mine was and you're waking up with a sore neck, start with the pillow. If your mattress is lumpy, get a My Pillow mattress topper. If your sheets are like sandpaper, get Giza Dream bed sheets or bath towels or slippers. MyPillow.com. Always use my promo code Bruce. MyPillow.com, promo code Bruce. So a point of clarification. I got a phone call last night. I didn't get the phone call. My wife got the phone call from a friend who wanted to know how we here at 989theanswer.com were able to score Speaker of the House, Mike Gallagher, to come to the Lazy Chameleon on March the 20th. Okay. And she was serious to call it. It is not Congressman Mike Gallagher who is coming to the Lazy Chameleon on March the 20th. It is none other than the Mike Gallagher who hosts the show directly ahead of my own here on The Answer. Mike Gallagher from Tampa, Florida. National radio host Mike Gallagher is coming to join me and Jack Windsor on stage March 20th, Lazy Chameleon in Powell. And it's going to be a private event. That's why we're selling tickets to it. Tickets are $60. If you buy two, you get a savings. What do you get for your $60? You get an appetizer, a buffet-style dinner, a dessert, a complimentary drink ticket, meet and greet with the three of us, pictures with us, questions with us. You get to listen to the conversation. It's going to be an intimate gathering, but it's going to be fun. And I think because of the timing right after the March 19th primary, we're going to have some political candidates there, and they're going to give a vision for what they see in Ohio the rest of 2024 and as we build toward the presidential election. So get your tickets today because they go up on Friday. They increase in price on Friday. An evening with talk radio host Mike Gallagher, myself, and Jack Windsor, all brought to you by Adult and Teen Challenge Ohio, which is a great organization that you should contribute to if you want real change in our community. Pastor Linda, Pastor Phil at Adult Teen Challenge Ohio have an unbelievable success rate, freeing women from the throes of all sorts of addiction because they share the love of Christ. And they say, once you get people to understand how much God loves them, then getting them to give up their form of addiction is a much easier task. Not easy, but it's much easier. And they do it by ingraining biblical values like discipline and hard work and things like that. So Adult Teen Challenge Ohio, but get your tickets, 989theanswer.com, 989theanswer.com. Now, my congratulations goes out to whoever it is at the Columbus Dispatch that discovered their new guest columnist by the name of Jeff Wenninger. Somebody at the Dispatch is getting a big, big raise. Maybe as big as the person who found the transgender hairstylist in Dayton to write an editorial about how evil the SAFE Act was. How evil the Save Women's Sports Act was. I mean, they found a transgender hairstylist in Dayton. They spare no expense at the Dispatch, finding people to write woke nonsense to explain liberal stupidity. And Jeff Wenninger, he's a home run for the Dispatch on matters of police use of force in Columbus, because Jeff Wenninger used to be a cop. Now, he's not a real cop because he was an LA cop. And he was not only an LA cop, he was an internal affairs rat in LA. You can tell that because he says he loves to play the expert card. Beware of people who trumpet their own expertise. I retired as a lieutenant after 30 years with the Los Angeles Police Department with expertise in investigation and adjudication of lethal force incidents. In excess of 700 cases. So Jeff Wenninger was the guy that every real cop on the street dreaded seeing when they had to fire their weapon, because Wenninger would show up and question every single thing they did. Did you take note of this? Did you take note of this? Did you take note of this? He was a professional second guesser. And now that he's retired, guess what he specializes in? That's right. Second guessing of Columbus police. And his opinion piece today says police were called to help Colin Jennings. They killed him instead. Now, I don't know. Maybe Wenninger didn't write the headline. Because back when I worked in newspapers, when newspapers were really newspapers and not rags dedicated to furthering woke ideology, I didn't write the headline. But Wenninger says that, I love his lead. Columbus police officers responded to a man who was reportedly cutting himself with a knife. He was cutting himself with a knife. That's what the guy's boyfriend told 911. And then Wenninger says, and possibly threatening another person. The guy who made the 911 phone call said, he's threatening me. Okay? So he won't even submit to facts and evidence from the eyewitness on the scene. such as Jeff Wenninger's hatred for real cops. And I suppose if for 30 years, every time you showed up to question a cop about a use of force shooting and they treated you like you had leprosy, and maybe you'd probably have a hard time being objective about police use of force. And then he said, Colin Jennings allegedly charged at officers. I can watch a body cam video. He didn't allegedly charge. He charged with this knife upraised in a threatening, menacing fashion. Wenninger says the intent of the call was for help, not for the 26-year-old Colin Jennings to die. That's true. Whose fault is it that Colin Jennings died? What happens if Colin Jennings gets on his knees, puts his hands behind his head, puts his knife down? What happens, Mr. Wenninger? And they just shoot him anyway because that's what cops do? No, that's not what happens. But that's not what Mr. Jennings did. This kind of garbage furthers, and again, here's what I continue to come back to this. Why do we get to the point where mentally unstable people like Colin Jennings react in the way that gets them killed when police show up with weapons drawn? Police show up with weapons drawn because Mr. Jennings has been reported through the 911 calling system as a threat. The person he's threatening, Jennings is threatening, is calling 911, saying he's threatening me. So the cops show up on alert. What are they? Are they supposed to just be targets for Mr. Jennings' knife? Should they just distract him by presenting a different target than his boyfriend? Is that the job of police? Certainly how it comes across here for Mr. Wenninger. He says, all too often these incidents end tragically through the use of unnecessary force and should be handled differently because when properly handled, they can be resolved by means other than lethal force without undue danger to officers or the public. You have no factual basis for any of that in this particular case. You have no factual basis for any of that. It's your hope. It's my hope. It's any reasonable, sane person's hope that Mr. Jennings would put the knife down, allow himself to be taken into custody, and get the mental health care that he needs. That's every reasonable, compassionate, sane person's hope. But that's not what his actions forced upon those officers. It's not what Ma'Khia Bryant's actions forced upon the officer who had to shoot her while she was in the process of attempting to stab another girl with a knife. And it was not the case with Takaya Young, the woman who was shoplifting from a Kroger liquor, high-priced liquor in Blendon Township, who went out and tried to and did resist arrest and did attempt to run over police officers there and got shot, and for which Jeff Wenninger was discovered and wrote his first woke piece of garbage opinion for the Columbus Dispatch, where he said that, you know, they should have just let her go or they had no reason to shoot her. I don't know. Call me crazy. If I'm a cop and a woman tries to run me over with her car while I have my gun out and while I've asked her to get out of the car and she hasn't done it, that to me is justifiable. Because if it's a me or you, then it's going to be you. And every police officer in the country will make that choice. But, you know, when you're Jeff Wenninger and you sit in an office in LA and you get to just second guess real officers who are out on the street and face real danger, well, then you can second guess because, I mean, probably made him a nice living for 3 decades in LA. And now the Dispatch probably kicks him some dough for furthering their woke narrative that all cops are bad all the time. Would that have anything to do with why we are hundreds of officers down in staffing in Columbus, Ohio? You think? I mean, what an attractive job. Everything you do is questioned or you're indicted for it.
Today of 60, but those temperatures will crash into the 30s. Windy and clear tonight. A rapid freeze up, low 23. Sunny tomorrow, high 41. Clouds and a shower on Friday, high at 48. Cloudy mild on Saturday, the high 58. And then partly sunny on Sunday, the high 67. I'm Steve Williams on 98.9 FM, The Answer.
Play ball, starting in left field, Bernie Moreno. And in right field, Bernie Moreno is playing there too. How can Moreno play both fields? The crowd in left field is cheering for Bernie because from 2014 to 2020, he sat on the board of a foundation that gave over $2 million to Planned Parenthood, a leading abortion provider, and other radical abortion rights and transgender groups. Then Bernie Moreno moved to right field and recently wrote a big check to a pro-life committee opposing abortion. Bernie Moreno, all over the ballpark. Bernie Moreno, shamelessly trying to make pro-life Republicans think he is one of us. But Frank LaRose is a proven home run hitter for pro-life and our Ohio family values. On March 19th, pro-life voters have only one real choice for U.S. Senate. The first page starts off with 2 pages of text messages between you and Ms. Merchant, correct? Correct. Now, the first page starts off by saying, Ms. Merchant, like, just date, don't hire him. Do you think it started before she hired him? You see that? Yes, I see it, yes. And your response to that was absolutely, correct? I'm going to object, ask and answer. So, was 2 pages of text messages between you and Ms. Merchant, correct? Correct. All right. Now, the first page starts off by saying, Ms. Merchant, like, just date, don't hire him. Do you think it started before she hired? Okay, in Defense Exhibit 26, which I showed you last time, was 2 pages of text messages between you and Ms. Merchant, correct? Correct. All right. Now, the first page starts off by saying, Ms. Merchant, like, just date, don't hire him. Do you think it started before she hired him? You see that? Yes, I see it, yes. And your response to that was absolutely, correct? I'm going to object, ask and answer if you look at it.
So, Mr. Sato, I do think we went through a lot of these texts.
We didn't.
Right here on 98.9 FM, The Answer.
It's getting harder and harder to make sense out of today's headlines. To stay on top of breaking world and national news with a Christian worldview and a faith-based perspective on what it means, turn to ChristianHeadlines.com. Log on to ChristianHeadlines.com for the very latest news, and then sign up for our free daily newsletter to stay one step ahead of what's happening. Get out of the mainstream media with top news and positive headlines every day with ChristianHeadlines.com.
Well, I love steak. I think most people do. And if you like grilling out in the summertime, you'd hate to stand out there on your deck and devote all that time and energy and then pull the steak off the grill and find out, the meat is really not special. That won't happen if you become a customer of riverbendranchsteaks.com/Bruce Hooley. Why? Why do I know that won't happen? Because I've been a customer for over a year. Now, I absolutely love the filet mignon and the ground beef. I'm not necessarily a New York strip guy or ribeye guy, but my family is. And the thing we love about Riverbend Ranch Steaks is we know exactly what we're getting. We're getting Black Angus beef from one ranch, massive, of course, but no hormones, no antibiotics in every cut. Every single one is USDA Choice or Prime. Really hard to even find that at your local grocery store. And guess what? The price at riverbendranchsteaks.com is equal to or less than you will pay in the grocery store. So check it out, riverbendranchsteaks.com/Bruce Hooley, riverbendranchsteaks.com/Bruce Hooley. So we have more details on 5-year-old Darnell Taylor, the young boy who was apparently murdered by his guardian. I don't know if I referred to her as foster mom. Legal custodian is, I guess, the official term. 48-year-old Pammy May. She's facing some new charges: aggravated murder, abuse of a corpse, tampering with evidence. Scheduled to appear in Franklin County court on Friday afternoon for arraignment. You know the story, the Amber Alert. Husband was on the phone, wanted to know where the little boy was. Wife said, hang up the phone, I got a plan. And she left the house and went to Cleveland, found a day or so later, and they discovered 5-year-old Darnell Taylor in a storm drain where he had been stuffed, presumably by Pammy May, which is where the abuse of a corpse charges come from. I have said before, it has not been reported the lengths to which Columbus police worked overtime, sacrificed personal time, worked as much as 36 hours in a row without taking a minute off to find this little boy when they believed there was a chance they could find him. And then nothing has been written about the officer who crawled down the storm drain to retrieve this little boy's body. This is a story that the Dispatch could tell, that any TV station in town could tell. It falls under the guise of human interest story. It personalizes police. You could address, I mean, they love to address mental health issues, right? I mean, we got this former police officer from LA writing about the guy with the knife who police had to shoot the other day because he wouldn't put the knife down and he charged toward him. That guy's having mental health issues. That much is apparent. We got to be very, very, very sympathetic and compassionate toward his mental health issues. You think the officer who crawls down the storm drain and retrieves the 5-year-old boy, you think he sloughs that off, goes home? Any trouble sleeping, dear? No trouble at all. Doesn't affect me at all. Doesn't bother my mental health at all. Doesn't bother my mental health at all to walk up and down the streets of Linden or the Hilltop every day and see kids shooting kids or stealing cars or laughing at us because they know they're going to be back out in a second. Like police officers, mental health? Huh? What? We got Mike DeWine today, the governor, talking about a new initiative that he's going to unleash in the state's prisons to help deal with the mental health of people behind bars in prison. That's fine. But if you want to know why there's a mental health crisis behind bars in our state prisons, I can't say it any better than my colleague Jack Windsor, who's set to host the Windsor Report here on 98.9 The Answer starting on March the 4th. And Jack took note today of Mike DeWine's effort to get mental health under control. And he's commenting on this tweet from Daryl Rowland of ABC6. Rowland's tweet: mental health behind bars, Governor Mike DeWine launches working group to tackle the issue. And Jack tweets: progressive policies, the erosion of the family, the denial of God, humans degrading the value of life via abortions for convenience, political activism confusing and creating mental illnesses in kids via teachers' unions, LGBTQ plus activism funded by Big Pharma and the medical industrial complex, and Mike DeWine's ignorant or self-interested handling of COVID. There, saved you millions. Yes, all those things contribute to the mental health crisis out there. I had a conversation with a new friend of mine, gentleman named George, yesterday. George and I were talking about my medical condition, various medical challenges that he's faced over the years. And we were both laughing about the fact that when we go in and talk to our doctors, they're amazed that we don't have a regular regimen of drugs that we're on, and how Big Pharma pushes those drugs on you. And it sure seems like they want you to become dependent on them, because the more people that become dependent on them furthers the expansion of medical facilities. I mean, look, I got great care at Ohio Health. I got nothing bad to say about Ohio Health. But I used to drive down and work around Ohio State, in the area of Ohio State where St. John Arena, Value City Arena, Bill Davis Stadium, all that is. And so I would be coming from my home in Upper Arlington in those days. Thankfully, I don't still live there. And you'd come in Olentangy River Road. It looks nothing like it used to look because of the expansion of medical care. Look right now, you drive by 315, you're on the curve, you drive by Riverside Methodist Hospital. Remember how you used to be able to see the hospital and see cars parked in front of it? That's over. Why is Riverside growing like it is? Why are they building this mammoth tower at Ohio State? Why is the medical complex at Ohio State mushroomed over the last decade? Almost because people are much less healthy. Well, yeah, they are, but why are they much less healthy? Maybe because we keep them affixed to and tied to all manner of drugs. Not every doctor. There's some really good doctors out there. I'm blessed. I got 3 of them, and one who's a really good friend. But at a lot of places, buyer beware, patient beware is what I would say. Likewise, voter beware. March 19th primary coming up. And I don't presume to think that there are any Democrats listening to this show because they have no interest in truth. They have no interest in reason, beauty, virtue. Hopefully, all of which they get a liberal, or should I say a different word, a large dose of on this show. But if by chance you are a Democrat and you are going to be voting, well, I guess everybody in Columbus votes on who the Franklin County Prosecutor will be. It's interesting today in the Dispatch that Sean Walton Jr., the guy he's kind of a mini Ben Crump. Ben Crump, race grifter, who's like a mini Al Sharpton, like the race grifters out there just reproduce like cockroaches. We go from Jesse Jackson to Al Sharpton to Ben Crump to Sean Walton. They're just wannabe grifters who traffic in the grief of families who are understandably racked by bad things that happen to relatives of theirs. I don't expect them to think rationally, but I expect attorneys not to go to them and say, hey, you got a case, let's sue, let's get millions. I know, and then conveniently, a bunch of that money ends up in Ben Crump's pocket or Al Sharpton's pocket or the pockets of their little mini-me's out there like Sean Walton. And he's advocating for the election of Shayla Faber as Franklin County Prosecutor. You think you got a shortage of cops in Columbus now? You think Gary Tyack has done a lousy job as Franklin County Prosecutor? And he has. No argument there. The prosecutor's office is a disaster. See what happens in 2 years if Shayla Faber is elected Franklin County Prosecutor. So do not vote for her. Do not perpetuate a system that looks first and foremost to hang cops.
We started our company 10 years ago in an effort to help our fellow Christians experiencing tax issues.
Everybody have a great day. Appreciate you watching.